When we're hungry and we smell something good, we experience the cephalic phase of gastric secretion. It's the first of three. The other two are the gastric and intestinal phases. And so when we smell something good, we experience an activation of the olfactory sensory neurons, the olfactory tract and its cortex, as well as the frontal cortex and the limbic system. And this activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and we see the stimulation of the vagus nerves, and these in turn stimulate the gastric glands in the stomach by the release of acetylcholine there. And we see an increase there of secretions. I want to just mention some of the glands. There's the oxyntic glands, made up of parietal cells and chief cells and mucus cells. There's also the pyloric glands, which are made up of G cells, peptic cells, and mucus. And there's an interesting interaction there with the chief cells and the parietal cells. The chief cells produce pepsinogen, and the parietal cells produce hydrochloric acid. And when those two interact, the inactive pepsinogen turns into pepsin. And this in turn, this pepsin is able to activate pepsinogen and turn it into pepsin. And so that's a pretty interesting brew there, the pepsin and the hydrochloric acid. They will do some interesting things, and perhaps that's maybe what we're already seeing is some activation there when we have an activation of the cephalic phase. But in any event, there is an increase in secretions. And another thing that takes place is in the cephalic phase is there is a little contraction activity in the gallbladder due to the vagus nerves. There's also the release of saliva. And when we smell something good, we experience the brain's stem's salivatory nuclei becoming activated. This in turn sends signals to the glossopharyngeal and facial nerves, and these stimulate certain external salivary glands, namely the parietal glands, the sublingual and the submandibular salivary glands. And these end up secreting saliva into the mouth. The parietal glands have a duct that's on the cheek that's near the second molar up top, and then the submandibular gland secretes saliva at the bottom of the lingual frenulum, and then we also have glands on the bottom of our mouth. And so that takes place when we're hungry and we smell food. And to really experience this, we need to be hungry. We need to, it helps if we smell something really good. If we're full and we're smelling something that's not very good, we're not going to have the same reaction. It really, to really experience this, you have to have the prerequisites of smelling something good and being hungry.